to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, and we're back with another one of our 24/7 news report videos. As always, we start with our headline news, and the headline news this evening is that Everton have been told that Wolves will accept a £10 million bid for Adama Traore. Everton have had an interest in the winger. That comes from Footy Insider 24/7. We ran a poll like we normally do on the Toffee Blues Twitter. If you want to get involved, the link is down in the description as always. Would you sign Adama Traore for 10 million? 66.9% said yes. 33.1% said no. Yeah, it's a tough one, this. If it wasn't for the price, I'd say swerve him. I actually originally voted no on that, but now that I've had a conversation with a couple of people, yeah, I mean, there are flaws, aren't there? He lacks an end product, I think it's fair to say. He gets a lot of crosses, and apparently his cross completion before his last Premier League season was 24%, 25%. Andros Townsend was still performing better numbers than that. I think his end product is really, really bad. If he could improve that, fantastic. He's an athlete. Jesus, is he an athlete? He's fast. He's pacey. He's incredibly strong. He's built absolutely. I don't even think he should be a footballer. He should be, doing something with like the WWE or the NFL would be an absolute, or rugby would be an absolute brilliant one for him with the pace and power that he has. He is an athlete. That is something you can't knock him for. Wolves clearly don't rate him as highly because they've sent him out on to Barcelona, who've now gone for Rafinha, and now they want to get rid for 10 million, which is very, very cheap. I think he still provides us something we don't have, and that is a ball carrier. If we're under a bit of pressure, which I imagine we're going to be again this season, knock it out to Adama Traore at the wings. He will run, and don't ask me what happens when he gets to the end of the line, but he will run that line so fast and with that much intensity and pace and power. Nobody's going to be able to get near him. It'll be a real sight to behold. So he does bring something we are lacking, and he brings another thing we're lacking, which is pace, pure blistering pace. So for 10 million, you know what? I think he's worth a punt. I think he's worth a punt. Next, we have that Everton are growing confident in signing Wolves midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White and are preparing for a new bid. That's come from Peter O'Rourke, I believe, who writes for the, I believe is he's a freelance journalist. So Peter O'Rourke, normally quite good. Gibbs-White doesn't look like we're giving up on him. I don't know what role he'll play in Lampard's setup. We'll have to wait and see about all of that. Footy Insider 24/7 also mentioned Gibbs-White, saying Everton are ready to make a new bid for Wolves. Morgan Gibbs-White, and they're confident Wolves will accept the bid. And then you've got Mark Douglas as well, who writes for the I paper, who's put that Everton have had an opening bid for Morgan Gibbs-White rejected, but there is optimism the deal can be structured. The midfielder's keen on the move. So he wants to come to us, which is good news first and foremost. Again, don't know where he'll play, but he's a very highly rated player. He's one of them where we've been screaming for the club to look in the Championship for young players. That's what they're doing. I don't know if he's the midfielder we need more than a 6. And Dele Alli was rumoured to be playing similar positions. But hey, he's got a lot of potential. He's younger than Dele Alli. If we can get him for the right price, I'm coming around to this very nicely. We have that Newcastle United have inquired to Everton about potentially signing Dominic Calvert-Lewin in May. Everton told Newcastle that they would want a fee of 60 million. That's come from Luke Edwards at the Telegraph. I think that's just Everton trying to price Newcastle out of it. Or if Newcastle aren't going to be priced out of it because their bank account is now unlimited, fleece them for as much money as we can. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a massive part of this squad. It was shown last season what happens when he's not in it, for large periods. We would need a lot of money to reinvest into a better position, into a striker again. And that's what the club are hoping for, to get the most money they can for a valuable asset at the club. I think that's the right way to go. Let's fleece them. If they want him, they'll have to pay over the odds for him. We also have that Everton have resisted loan interest from Lewis Warrington. so far this season. Lampard has been impressed and is contemplating promoting him to the first team. That again come from Mark Douglas of the iPaper. That's fantastic to hear. Had a really decent time out, I believe it's Tranmere Rovers. It's nice to see that he's impressed that much, that Frank Lampard's looking at him and going, let's get him in the first team. I've openly said there needs to be a better way of, taking players from the under 21s, under 19s academy into the first team. And if Lewis Warrington could be one of those players that comes through and impresses and could become a staple in this side, even better. I believe he's a bit more of a defensively minded midfielder as well, which is something we need. But I'm a big fan of us using the youth system. Fantastic. Speaking of, young midfielders and Frank Lampard is keen on Conor Gallagher, but Chelsea will leave it later in the summer before making a final call on him. Another loan is possible. Everton are also in talks with Chelsea over Armando Broja. This has come from Mark Douglas. Gallagher, I wouldn't mind him on loan, especially if we can get a option to buy in it. Broja, the price has got to be right with this, guys. The more I look at it, the more I look at him. He's a good young player, but he's not the finished article. Goal tally wasn't what I think some people are getting excited about. The price has really got to be right on this. So we'll have to wait and see how that sort of transpires with Broja. It is interesting. Coincidentally, I have more news on Broja. Frank Lampard is reportedly driving Everton's interest, so this is purely Frank Lampard. The 20-year-old's also a target for West Ham, who are keen to strike a deal and rival the Blues in the transfer market. Broja has now joined up with his Chelsea's teammates on pre-season, but having not left on the original flight with the majority of them, speculation is sort of continuing to build. Handed his debut at the London Club by Lampard, the Evening Standard have claimed the Everton bosses, the man hoping to encourage a potential move to Goodison Park for the youngster. So it's completely on Lampard's head, this one. Like I said, he's a good young player. His goal, I don't think if we got Calvert-Lewin sold and brought Broja, we should anywhere. I don't think he brings the goals in that Calvert-Lewin did. He still needs a lot of time to build into the role and develop. Interestingly, I believe West Ham have got one of their targets or are looking at another target, Samaka, possibly, I believe it might have been, who's also linked with us. So that could open the door either way. With that one, either they get Broja and we can look at Samaka a bit more, or the other way around. We also have that Lille have reportedly placed a £50 million price tag on Amado Onana, who's been linked with a move to Everton. The Blues are not the only Premier League team interested in the Belgian international, with Newcastle and West Ham also keen on him. West Ham have seen 2 bids turned down for the 20-year-old, and any side hoping to strike an agreement will have to pay £50 million, as stated by 90min.com. Good player, really good player, exact position we need. Absolutely fantastic player. I'm glad the club are looking at this, because if all else fails, at least they realise that that's an issue in the squad. The only issue is I think 50 million is far, far too expensive, and I don't think the club have got that to stick up. It's a shame. There are other options out there. We'll have to just be a little bit more careful and look for other options. Lille, I believe, were struggling last year due to money, hence the Gaultier sort of leaving. So they'll need to make some money back as well on that player. I think that's what they're doing it for. And also, he is a very highly rated young midfielder. Finally, we have the Everton defender Gerard Brantwaite is closing in on a loan move to PSV. The Echo reported yesterday afternoon that the Dutch Giants were considering a move for the Blues youngster, who's not part of Frank Lampard's 32-man squad that travelled to America. And the Daily Mail are now stating a deal is close to completion in the temporary move to shore up the defence as they look to challenge Ajax for the Eredivisie title once more. Marcel Brands' club clearly liked what he saw at Everton. All the best to Brantwaite. He needs a loan where he'll get long game times to develop. Big fan of this. He does need to go, in all honesty, guys. But that's all we've got time for. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Comment down below your thoughts on Calvert-Lewin, Armando Broja, Adama Traore. That's the big one of today, isn't it? Morgan Gibbs-White. Don't forget, if you want your Everton kits for the new season, a direct link to the Everton store will be in the description down below as well. And if you want your more funny, creative Everton themed t-shirts. You can get them from the Toffee Blues shop, which will also be in the link down below. Stay safe, guys, and I'll see you very soon.